Guess who's back? That's right, it's Jean Price. It's her new fall season, and she's ready with more real conversations with real people. So make sure to tune in this Wednesday to welcome back our host, Jean Price, on Real Talk with Jean Price.
This week on Real Talk with Jean Price.
Even though you might not be able to do something today, you can become the person that can. At the beginning, I asked you all to think of something you've always wanted to do. Maybe it's writing your own book, starting your own business, or perhaps it's simply eating more healthy or exercising more regularly. Whatever it might be, I want to challenge you all to start daring your reality, to start trying new things. Because the benefit of trying new things is that you can change your beliefs. It's gonna be scary. You want to run back to your comfort zone. So burn your ships. And last but not least, when you try something new, when you decide to change something about yourself, people want to help you, and you are never alone.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me tonight on Real Talk with Jean Price. Listen, I'm so excited about the show tonight. If you had an opportunity to join us last week, we had such a great show, a wonderful season, all things new, and we're back again this week. This is part 2 of All Things New. And I want you to I want you to comment, I want you to share. You have time to go and tell people, listen, Real Talk with Jean Price is on. We want you to engage in what we have to talk about. And you never know, you may be a surprise guest on Real Talk with Jean Price. We have some wonderful surprises that are going to be coming up in the fall. We took some time off to rebrand, rebuild, and we're back. And I have 2 wonderful guests that are going to be joining me. And again, there's so many things that's going on in the world, and it's so good to know that, guess what, we don't have to get caught up in the mantra, but we can go ahead and kind of start some things over brand new. I want to take this time to welcome my guest tonight. I have with me Dr. Tay. Dr. Tay, come on out and join Real Talk. So good to have you with us. How are you tonight?
It's great to be back. Nice to see you, Lady Price.
I always love having you on the show. And I'm also excited to have my guest with me, Genevieve. Genevieve, come on out and join me tonight with Real Talk. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing great. I'm so excited to have the 2 of you with me tonight. Listen, I'm excited about the show. We had so much fun last week. We had 2 guests on our show. And just to sit as women, not that it's a women opposed to men show, but to sit and talk to women about what's going on in their life, what new things they have going. I can't wait. Listen, I'm excited about tonight. So I'm going to, Dr. Tay, again, I'm so glad you're back on the show. Kind of tell us what's going on with you.
Well, a lot of things. So I've also kind of taken a step back from my social media presence and everything. A lot has been going on behind the scenes. I'm working on the completion of my book that I kind of released to the world. The idea of me completing my book called Out from the Ashes on my birthday, and I've been working on that. And 9 to 5 stuff as a psychologist, and I recently purchased a home, so it's like everything focused on that and, and being mom and making sure that the rooms are perfect for the kids. You know how that goes. But overall, things have been, really, really good.
Oh, that's so good to hear. Genevieve, tell us a little bit about what's been going on. Again, welcome to Real Talk.
Oh, thank you again. Yeah, I'm just really excited. I'm a licensed esthetician and a makeup artist, beauty expert, and I just came back from Florida. I was there for a conference for the the spa show, and so I was out there. But I'm gearing up now. For my own grand opening for my own spa, which I'm a little nervous. But you know what? It's all in God's hands in terms of like who comes out. And, I'm just really excited to just open this new business and just basically start this new chapter in my career.
That's beautiful. Okay, so we're going to dive right in because as soon as both of you were talking, my mind, my mind is running. We're going to talk about self-care to start with. I need to know from Dr. Tay. Let's talk about some good old-fashioned new way, old way, but I want to talk about self-care from the mental perspective. And Genevieve, I want to talk about self-care because you're an esthetician. I'm a firm believer on skincare and all that. So I want to kind of go into that arena. So Genevieve, I'm going to start with you. Kind of give us some pointers on self-care from the perspective as women. Now, I'm 55 and all women should take care of their skin, but I really try to take care of my skin now.
55 where?
Dr. Tay, can we put a pin on this show? Because I'd be like, Dr. Tay, that's a whole nother show. That's a whole nother show. Trust me, 5, 6 in 4 months. And I'm like skincare, mental care. I want to talk about it all. So Genevieve, we're going to start with you. Give us some tips on some self-care for your skin.
Well, where do I start? Self-care begins from the inside out. And I'm a firm believer that, it's really important to take care of your mental health. But then also when you take care of yourself, when you look good, you feel good. And so, for what I do as an esthetician, I'm there for my clients, but at the same time, I have to take care of myself in order to pour into others. And so, in terms of tips, I would just say go for your facial or massage once a month. Do what makes you happy. This, some people, it seems like an expense, but you know what? Going in for your monthly treatment is taking care of you. And I believe it's an investment, or how should I say it? A skin investment.
I like that. That was good. I'm going to come back because I have a question, but let me get Dr. Tay. Dr. Tay, let's talk about this mentally. Like, where do we even begin? And you kind of touched on for yourself. You have a lot of great things going on. But as a woman, we have so many things. We carry so many loads. We carry so many weights. How do we begin to start kind of retraining our mindsets and embracing things that are new, that are good for us?
Well, first we have to be open and honest with ourselves and really take a look at our thought patterns. Our thought patterns, our behaviors, our emotions, because they're all interconnected. So we have to kind of have that come to Jesus talk with ourselves and look in the mirror and say, okay, these are the things that are kind of maladaptive, that aren't working for me. These are the thoughts and the emotions that are kind of leading to my, my breakdowns or, my outbursts, or, things like that. So we have to first be willing to accept that maybe there are some things that need to be tweaked. Maybe there are some changes that need to be made. And I was just speaking to a client yesterday. It's not a matter of you changing who you are as a person. It's making improvements. So all things can be you. All things can be new, but you can still be you.
Oh, I like that. All things can be new, but you can still be you. That was good. That was really
good. Because, sometimes, especially when, in the therapy room, people can get so overwhelmed by thinking, oh, I have this to fix and I have that to correct. And will I ever be the person I want to be? But that's, I won't say a faulty mindset, but it's a mindset that can lead you down like bad rabbit holes, right? So It's good to really give honor to the good parts of yourself. Things that make you feel good, the things that you're content with, and then the things that you improve those. But at the core of your being, you're still insert great qualities here. Like if you, let's say, don't take care of your skin the way you're supposed to, and you only get a facial like once a year, does that make you a terrible person? Absolutely not.
Right.
But if that's an area that you want to improve, then you work on it.
Right.
But we first have to be willing.
That's right. Genevieve, let me come over to you, sort of on the lines of what Dr. Tay is saying. If I was a client that was coming into your shop, your very own shop, as an esthetician, kind of talk to me about when you're working on the skin. I get it. But do you feel that sometimes clients come in because it's not just the skin that they come in for? Because the relaxation, let me speak for myself. When I go for facials, I want my body to relax. I want my mind not to think about everything I have to do, though you're working on my skin. So what other things can you help women with, not just how we take care of our skin?
sometimes people just need somebody to listen to them. So when I mean, I don't have the credentials that Dr. Tay has, but I feel that, as an esthetician, I also call myself a skin therapist. And, and sometimes that extends into, being able to support my clients during any difficult times that they've had. I had a client once, she just, when we were going into the facial, we're in the middle of the facial, and she just started crying because I didn't know she lost her mother a few weeks ago. And, it felt, I'm glad that I was there to carry her mentally, throughout the facial. But, sometimes people, they don't realize until like they're actually laying down on my bed, and they're just like,
Yeah, right.
and they're laying down in front of me, but then they're also like releasing a load.
Yeah.
And that's why I believe that, for me as the provider, I cannot, I can't be on empty, because my clients need me. And so yes, like, it's just really important to take care of yourself, and just to be able to not to take care of yourself physically, but then afterwards it feels like a load off, and that you feel more power. You feel my clients feel more empowered to take on the rest of the day, because they made that investment in themselves.
That's excellent. So that leads me right to my next point, and thank you for that. So then, how important is it, ladies, for relaxation? Because it's apparent that, well, I can only speak for myself, that you can tell if I'm really stressed. You can see it in my face. You can see it in my countenance. How important is relaxation then, Dr. Tay? And then Genevieve.
It's important. It's so important. And I look at relaxation as a form of self-care. So however you relax, make time to do it. And I think that's probably where most people fall short as far as self-care is concerned. We don't schedule it. We have to be intentional about relaxation, intentional about self-care. If you have to schedule, put it on your calendar, on your iPhone, do what you have to do. One of my colleagues mentioned today, have at least an hour a day where you have free and no one knows it.
I love it.
Challenging when you have children and other people who depend on you. Like you said, women have many roles that we fulfill and tasks that we need to complete. But we have to schedule it in. We have to make time for it, and we have to be intentional about it. Because sometimes if you're on the cusp of burnout, just having 30 minutes to yourself might not be enough. You might need to fill that space with something that's cathartic or restorative. Maybe it's doing an at-home DIY facial. You're doing it yourself, but at least you're still getting some relaxation elements. Maybe going for a walk. Like, you have to be intentional about what you do sometimes, because just time to yourself in silence, that's not always going to be enough. And I know it sounds crazy, because we'll often say,
it's on point,
whatever, every little bit helps.
It
does. But when you're so far gone, I started to realize, and just a personal testimony, I'm talking too much. I don't want to take up too much of
No, you're not. We're talking. We're having talk. That's what it's about.
Right. We're having real talk. Right. So I got to the point where I work Monday through Friday, and I've noticed that I would go to bed at about 2 or 3 a.m. on Monday, every Monday, and then have to wake up for work. And I'm wondering, why is that? Because I was so run down during the week that I had to, do any last minute stuff or taking care of the kids or whatever on Friday. Saturday, if I didn't have someplace where I was and even though I wanted to clean, I'd just be in my bed, get up to eat, and go to the bathroom. And then Sunday after church is when I got the burst of energy. Wow. And that's why I was up until 3 a.m. So that showed me that my body needed 3 days to actually restore. Yeah. So I needed to be intentional about what I was doing during the week, so that I didn't need that, that amount of time, and end up going to bed at 3, 4 in the morning on Monday before I have to go to work. So you really have to be intentional about it and know what works for you.
Yeah. Thank you. That's good. Genevieve, as Dr. Tay was talking, I thought about when clients come in, because we're talking about relaxation now. Can you see it in their face, in the skin, and in their face in their continents when people aren't relaxed? Because I know for me, I have an 11. This is 11 here that I need to get rid of. I laugh all the time. Trust me, next week it won't be there. But do you see it in the face when people aren't relaxed? I know, Dr. Tay, it won't be. I'm telling you. I got plans.
To me, I sense it when I'm doing the massage. When I'm doing the massage and they're tense.
In here, yes.
And the jawline, along the mandible, because then, I mean, I go through it myself because I grind my teeth and stuff, so you can tell when the jaw is clenched. And so when I'm feeling, I feel it a lot when I'm going in the shoulders, and it's just like, oh, like when I'm trying to massage and I'm just like, oh, this is so tense. So again, I just try to make it a relaxing ambiance. I have my aromatherapy. I have my spa music going, because it's definitely different when you're like, sometimes I forget to put the music on, and then I'm like, wait, I'm doing this in like dead silence. I was like, let me put some spa music so you can relax. And so, I just do my part to make sure that my client feels relaxed the whole time, even if, let's say, whatever's happening outside is not, in their favor.
Right. So would you both say the atmosphere plays a role in relaxation then? The atmosphere that you're in? Mm-hmm. I'll go with Dr. T first.
So just thinking, and Genevieve kind of touched on this, the music, like if you go into a spa never has bright lights. No. It's never like, electronic music or anything like that. It's always something relaxing. Mm-hmm. And that's not just for the spa. Like if you create a calming atmosphere, it will help to calm your body physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. In my office, I had one student who was very anxious, and he said, meditation used to work for me, but I don't even have the time to meditate. So when he came into my office, I would leave the room. Ask my boss, I'm like, I just want to let you know that I'm technically working, but I, got the dim lamp, no fluorescence. We had the lamp. I had a diffuser. I allowed him to choose the oil he wanted, the essential oil. And when he'd come in, I have YouTube queued up. Do you want rainforest noises? Do you want beach noises? Do you want rain? And more often than not, when I came in, he was asleep because of the atmosphere that was set. He was, school, 2 jobs and everything. So for that 15 minutes, he was so relaxed because of the atmosphere. Now, I wouldn't get upset. I'm like, you know what? That's good. It did what it was supposed to do. But it's so important, because when you're in an atmosphere that's cluttered, your thoughts become cluttered. If you're in a space where you can't really move around, then you're going to feel like you're confined mentally and emotionally. So there's always a connection. Like some people, they can't sleep well if their surroundings aren't clean. A lot of people clean before they go to bed. And if it's not, then they're anxious to do the next day, they don't sleep well. So atmosphere is really key.
It is. What about for you, Genevieve? Is a little what Dr. Tay was saying. When I go to my esthetician, the walls are beautiful, just these beautiful colors, like that really pretty aqua with a little, it's just beautiful. So can you kind of talk about that a little bit, that serene atmosphere that goes on as you're preparing your clients?
Yeah. Well, I was very intentional about preparing my room for my clients. When I got into the room, I decided to put up a nice wallpaper where it was like rose gold palm trees. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like I didn't realize how much, like I just did wallpaper on one panel of the wall, and it just like brought out the room. And when people come in, I just want them to feel like it's an oasis for them. So I was really intentional about doing that, as well as, I put the spa music, I put my aromatherapy, I have a diffuser, but most importantly, I make sure my bed is comfortable for them. And, just really putting in that time and effort to make sure that that hour and a half that they're with me, they feel relaxed and they feel open and they could talk to me about whatever. Or if they don't want to talk, because during one of my services, I do dermaplaning, you have to be quiet the whole time. And at
Okay.
first, I didn't like that. I was just like, oh my God, I'm so used to being social and I'm such a people person. But, it allows them to relax in silence. And
Yeah.
so, I'm glad that I can provide that type of sanctuary, even if it's just once a month or,
Right.
if it's chemical peel season, once every 2 weeks.
Wow. So what is dermaplaning? What is that?
So dermaplaning is a procedure where you take, well, me as an esthetician, I use a surgical blade to
Mm-hmm.
shave off the top layer of the skin, and it helps get rid of vellus hair, or what we call peach fuzz, and then it also gets rid of any like dead skin on top, so that any products that you put on your face afterwards, it's going to penetrate much deeper into the skin.
Wow, that's very interesting. So we're talking about a new start. So how does somebody, whether they're coming in to relax with Genevieve or even in your office, Dr. Tay, how do they leave the past behind if they want to get a new start?
Do we have the time? How long is the show? It really depends on what the person is bringing into the office. And again, willingness, because I've worked in settings and worked with clients where they weren't ready to let it go. They weren't ready to let it go. And of course, they didn't say that verbally, and it was probably something unconscious. But sometimes what has held us back, what has hurt us, what has harmed us, becomes a crutch. And we don't know if we can survive without that crutch. So even though it causes pain, it's familiar to us. So we'd rather stick with the familiar and be hurting than experience the anxiety of possibly going out on a limb and changing and letting those old things go. So really, it again, self-reflection and willingness to self-reflect and being open to what the outcome is. Sometimes people don't want to let it go because they caused the harm, or it was something that they did to themselves. And where there's that cliche that we are our own worst critic. So it's like, I shouldn't have done that. Shouldn't have done that. Why? And a person can't let it go because it's a part of them. They played a part in it. So.
Wow. That's interesting. Genevieve, let me ask you this question. Someone that comes into you as an esthetician, they're coming in, because I'm thinking about what Dr. Tay was just saying about what we're talking about, leaving the past behind. They come into your office and they're heavy. They're very heavy. When you're setting up what they want, I guess massages and with the facials, are there certain treatments that you might change depending on how the client presents when they come in? Now, I know, like when I go, I schedule, I say, listen, I'm going for a facial. This is what I'm going to get. But based on what you see, can you change what you're going to do to them based on it? Or you just stick to what they've already paid for?
90% of the time, when my clients come in and they already booked the treatment, they don't know what they really paid. So it's really up to me as a licensed professional skin therapist to be able to gauge what they need based on not just the consultation, but then also during my skin analysis for them. So I usually do change it up. I always do my add-ons, and and by every time, like, I tell them like how much everything comes up to, they're like, okay. So for me, as it feels great to be able to provide that, but most importantly, I'm looking at their skin, and I'm trying to figure out what's the best plan of action. But then also it depends on how committed the client is to their overall skin health. Because if I know that they're going to come to me like every 4 to 6 weeks, then we have time to experiment and try different things. But if I know that this is just going to be like a birthday facial or one of those like one-offs, like I want to either way, I'm giving them the best experience that I can provide for them.
That's beautiful. Now, our viewing audience, we have Natasha watching, we have Quincy watching. Listen, if you guys have some questions, you can put it in the chat, and Dr. Tay and Genevieve are here to answer those questions. I want to ask a deep question. I guess it's semi-deep. Suppose somebody came into either one of your offices or establishments and they have trauma. And you can see trauma sometime on people again, because I don't know why I keep talking about the continents, because you can really see sometime on the outside what's really going on the inside. In your case, Genevieve, it could be rosacea. I know for myself, when I'm 55, so you get to begin to change life. I started breaking out with big rosacea, and you can kind of see there was something going on the inside of my body that was presenting itself on my face through my skin. And then for you, Dr. Tay, it's the same thing. If somebody's going through a trauma or something in their life, it's coming out on the outside, but what's going on the inside? So how do you handle it? Genevieve, how do you handle that?
I think for the most part, usually I'm the last stop that people go to before having to go to a dermatologist or a medical provider. And so for me, I think the most important thing is to have it be a no judgment zone. Because some people come to me and they're just like, I know I haven't been taking care of my skin. I'm so horrible for doing that. And I'm like, no, it's okay. You made the decision to be here. Let me help you now. And so I think that's the most important thing, is that like you don't judge them like, oh, why are you doing this to yourself? Or, oh my God, you're using St. Ives scrub. What are you thinking? What's wrong? Like, no, like you just,
Right.
you can't, because you have to accept people where they're at and just bring them forward.
Wow. What about for you, Dr. Tay?
First of all, I need to go to Genevieve's spot, because sometimes the estheticians that I've had, like, oh, it's been 4 weeks, or oh, it's been 4 years. Like, I know when's the last time
you don't want to hear that one again.
Exactly. Like, yes, I know. I picked my face.
Right.
Yes,
Right.
okay. Can we move on? Like,
Right.
the no judgment zone is so
that.
important. Like in spa therapy and in psychotherapy, if a person comes in thinking that you're judging what they've gone through and what they've experienced, you're not going to be able. You're not going to feel like you relate to them, and they're not going to come back.
Yeah.
So again, to piggyback off of Genevieve, the no judgment zone is really important. I'll give you another example, and this was early in my career. I had a student. He was telling me that he was really, not questioning, but really diving deep into the Satanic Bible, and asking himself some questions and things like that. One, I didn't know that there was such a thing.
Right.
But, I don't know if I was wearing my cross at the time. And at that time, a lot of people at my office didn't even know that I was a minister. I was a minister at the time. So in that competent therapist, so if you bring in your religiosity, your spirituality, or whatever, I'm going to walk that road with you, regardless of what my views are. So I was saying, well, I was engaging him in conversation, not judging him, but he's like, I was really thinking about this, and therapists really help you look at things from a different perspective. So I was engaging him in conversation, and after that session, I realized how important it is to not only be non-judgmental, but to leave your stuff at the door. And so, you know what? Sometimes you can have your stuff with you, but you really have to, not suppress it, but put it to the side, put it on your desk, put it on the shelf, because in that moment, it's not about you. And I'm sure people will argue me down and say, oh, well, the blood of Jesus. Of course, I did that when he left. I did, but in that moment, he felt heard. He felt understood. So, but I kind of went off the tangent. You mentioned trauma. Sometimes people don't know that they've experienced trauma. They come in and report all the symptoms, but they're not putting a label on it. And that can be for so many different reasons. Some people don't put a label on it because they just don't know. Or they might come from a culture where tending to your mental health isn't really put at the forefront. Or what they experienced was at the hand of someone who was supposed to be a caretaker, and they're not ready to face that fact that the person who was supposed to carry them actually dropped them. So again, I don't know why that's a theme for me tonight, but willingness.
Wow.
When someone does express symptoms of a trauma response, you have to tread lightly when sharing that with them. It's like, oh, you're traumatized, girl. They're not coming back.
Right.
Because it's like you're pathologizing me and you don't even know me.
Right.
So you really have to be mindful.
Absolutely. What about for you, Genevieve?
In terms of having like a willingness.
Yeah. Well, yes, because it's so important. Just, oh my goodness, it was so powerful. Let me just say let me just go back for a second. Carla chimed in and she said, when I go for a massage, I try to be present in the moment so I can enjoy the whole experience. So before I go to what I was going to say before Genevieve, I want to say something to what Carla's saying. Do you feel that people come in and by the time they're done, they've enjoyed the moment or the whole experience?
Oh, yes, absolutely. And this is where, I like to talk, during my treatments, but but when we come to the massage portion, I like zip it because I want them to, this is about them. I don't want them, maybe we ended up talking about something like, maybe they may have ended up confiding me about something and then it brought up some emotions for them, and I don't know, I just would rather kind of keep it quiet but for the massage so that they could be present. I stay quiet during the mask so that they could just have that time for themselves, so I mean, I've read on Yelp reviews how people say, oh my god, my skin therapist wouldn't shut up. So I was like, I don't want to be that person, right? I don't want to be that person. But yeah, like I said, I try to give them their space, in addition to building that connection with them too.
That's good. Well, let me ask both of you a question because you both perform services. One is mentally, emotionally, one is externally, what you do with as an esthetician. But do you guys ever get overwhelmed and feel like you need services? Those services?
Yeah.
Anyone of you can chime in?
Absolutely.
Jennifer, you chime in first on that one. Oh, okay. Well, go ahead, Dr. Tag.
Friday, and I'm thinking about canceling the facial and booking with Jen. But no, it's, especially when you take on other people's stuff. So me emotionally, both of us, because any kind of like service providers as far as like wellness for the body and also bartenders, but like bartenders, beauticians, estheticians, nail techs, I think they deserve honorary doctorates of psychology because they're therapists. Like they hear the stuff that people don't want to share with their therapist, or they don't have anyone to talk to, they'll open up to you. So when you're taking on everybody else's stuff, if you don't regularly dump, you will start to have the tension. So like if someone's talking about their trauma during a facial treatment and Jen doesn't dump, Genevieve, I'm sorry, I keep calling her Jen because I've known Genevieve since I was 10. We went to school together for like
that's beautiful.
For like a lot of years.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, so it's really like exciting that she's like opening at 5. Like, oh my god,
that's exciting.
But when you could be massaging someone's tension out, but if they're talking about something that triggers you or stresses you and you don't dump it, you're going to just imagine like bricks and bricks stacked up on your shoulders. So I need services. And I will publicly say that the therapist has a therapist because I need to dump that stuff. I specialize in trauma. If I allowed that stuff to stay on my shoulders, it wouldn't be good. So I need to dump with therapy, dump with spa services, dump with taking walks.
Right.
It's necessary.
Yeah, understood. What about for you, Genevieve?
Oh yeah, I mean, I felt overwhelmed just the other day. So I mean, I'm really glad that we live in a generation that now is very open about talking about self-care. Yes. And, because then I think about like, oh my God, how did my mom do it? And like, we didn't talk about going to see a therapist or okay, I'm being intentional about my relaxation. And now, like, I'm so glad that like we've embraced that now, especially through the pandemic.
Right.
Yeah, like I just sometimes like I feel like I don't spend enough time on my self care, but then am I repeating that pattern of like beating myself up for not doing enough, as
Right.
opposed to
Right.
just being present to like, you know what, I'm gonna take that hour. You know, like for example, when when I was down in Florida for the spa show, it was you know, I was down in Florida for 3 days, but like for 2.5 days, I spent just stressing out about my presentation. Like, oh my God,
Wow.
I can't even go see,
Right.
I was in West Palm Beach, which was like an hour away from Miami. I was just like, I couldn't even go to Miami Carnival to like enjoy and, you know, like knowing that like, knowing that I had this presentation on my mind and I wasn't presenting, I got there Saturday, I wasn't speaking until Monday. And Sunday night comes and I'm like, you know what? I think I'm not gonna have the energy to, you know, pack up all my stuff and then do my presentation and then go to the airport right after. And so I ended up paying a little extra to do a late checkout with my Airbnb because my Airbnb had like a pool and it was just a nice little cozy place. And I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna take this 1 hour, hour and a half to just relax and just calm down after such a stressful. I mean, I don't want to say stressful, but after such a jam-packed weekend, you
Right.
know, and to me that was my way of decompressing. And even though like the money, you know, I could have been like, no, I need to save the money, but I'm like, no, like this money is going towards my self-care. If it means that I could wake up a little later so that I didn't have to worry about packing all my stuff and, you know, checking out before I had my presentation, then you know what, it was money well spent.
Beautiful. Well, we're going to take a commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to have some final remarks from our two guests tonight. This has been absolutely amazing, even for the ladies that have chimed in tonight, just to be able to talk about inner self-care and outer self-care. It does make a difference. But we'll be right back after this commercial break. If you take relationships, husband and wives, or marital relationships, because of the pandemic, people had to now deal with each other or deal with things they didn't have to deal before. Case in point, you're home all the time. You might have to deal with the pet peeves that bother you, but I found out that was a time that, you know, the communication was challenged. There was so many different challenges that married couples face. Some people would wind up being on unemployment, so those financial woes became a tension in some relationships, and other things, just dealing with sexual abuse. If somebody, say there was a child being sexually abused, I found out that children, because of the pandemic, were home with the perpetrator. And I found out that was such a test for people having to get through that. And the reason it kind of falls under the guidelines of love is because then that other parent had to deal with what was going on with that child. So it was a whole lot of things then going on in relationships during the pandemic. This week on Real Talk with Jean Price.
Even though you might not be able to do something today, you can become the person that can. At the beginning, I asked you all to think of something you've always wanted to do. Maybe it's writing your own book, starting your own business, or perhaps it's simply eating more healthy or exercising more regularly. Whatever it might be, I want to challenge you all to start daring your reality, to start trying new things. Because the benefit of trying new things is that you can change your beliefs. It's gonna be scary. You'll want to run back to your comfort zone. So burn your ships. And last but not least, when you try something new, when you decide to change something about yourself, people want to help you, and you are never alone.
Welcome back to Real Talk. We've been talking to Dr. Tay and Genevieve. Come on back to Real Talk with Jean Price. We've been talking about All Things New Part 2. And we've been talking about the outer care. We've been talking about your inner care. I'm going to have these ladies give some final remarks. This has been a great show because it's nice to talk about what you go on the inside and how you can kind of start taking that self-care to fix it. But also, how do you fix the outside too so we can make sure that our skin is intact and just those things that we struggle with. So ladies, come back to Real Talk with Jean Price. I'm going to have Genevieve to have some final remarks. And again, let's go and support Genevieve. She is located in Mineola. Her address is on the bottom of the screen, 45 Mineola Boulevard. Make your appointment for some self-care with your skin. Genevieve, some final remarks.
I thank you again for having me on this show. This was a really great opportunity. I just wanted to say, prioritize yourself. Take this time out and don't feel guilty about self-care. Self-care today is a necessity. It's not an option. And so, even whatever it looks like for you, whether it's getting a facial by me or a massage or even just getting your nails done, once you pour into yourself, you'll be able to pour into others and be the powerful woman or man that you are. And so take that time out and just, invest it in yourself because it's going to pay off in dividends.
That's beautiful. Thank you. And Dr. Tate, some final remarks on how do we take care of that inner person?
You know what? I'm going to piggyback off of what Genevieve just said, and I love the comparison between the inner self-care and the outer self-care. And, people talk about, new year, new me, but a day is a new day. So you don't have to wait until January 1st to say, you know what, I'm going to do something to better myself. Of course, I'm biased therapy. Therapy does not mean that you're crazy. It doesn't mean that you're weak. Quite the contrary. It shows that you are connected to yourself enough to know that you need help. That you not need help because even that has a negative connotation, but that you need extra support in challenging times, right? If a bookshelf is buckling, we know to either take some of the weight off or to add additional support. Allow therapy to be the additional support and assist you in taking off some of the weight. So it's the same thing as what Genevieve said. We have to make the investment. Some people think, oh, well, therapy, it's costly. It's an hour out of my time. Out of people, that's their only self-care. So do the work of, discovering yourself inside, and also do the work of taking care of the outside. The thoughts, the feelings, the emotions, thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, they're all connected. So you can address them all at any point in your life.
Well, I want to thank my guests for being on Real Talk tonight. We talked about inner care and outer care, and I like that. I want to thank Genevieve. Listen, we want to go and support her shop. Dr. Tay, it's always a pleasure to have you on Real Talk. And ladies and men, if you want to get some inner care and some outer care, we want you to, go back and watch the show because so many wonderful things were said. Natasha just chimed in and said, wow, thank you for that. It shows that you're connected to yourself enough to know that you need help. And help is not a negative. Sometimes we look at help as a negative. It's not a negative to go and want good skin care, not a negative in wanting self-inner care. There's nothing wrong with that. And we are so excited about the fact that we can bring that to our platform and people can sit and listen to what it's like to be renewed and have that strength that's built inside of all of us. So again, we want to take this time to thank you for joining us on Real Talk, and we'll see you next week with another exciting topic. You don't want to miss it. Thank you for joining us on Real Talk.
Bye.
Welcome to Real Talk with Jean Price.